Hello, everybody. This is Preston Poulter here with Pocket Jacks Comics, and I've got half of the Shitty Web Comics brothers, and the other half will be joining us hopefully soon. Let me tweet out this link. First, he has to buy some jaguar pelts, and I know how that is.
I'm closing this door. All right.
There we go.
Yeah,
And
he's got to get the skins so that he can craft the skins into something. I don't know what the jaguar pelts are used to make.
okay.
Hopefully, a script.
Let me tweet out the link. And then now, are these your pages for tonight, or are these going to be?
My brother's pages.
Well, then he's definitely got to be here.
Yeah, he's on his way. That's the thing.
Okay.
He was stuck in cutscenes. There's no way to skip the cutscenes
Right.
from the setup that he has. But he's getting in here right now.
Okay, fair enough. All right, and then oh wait, there we go.
All
Hello,
right, yeah.
Thomas.
I fucking I bought those skins, but I couldn't use them. I couldn't craft them. What do you craft? That's the downside of having to do streams is I can't like stay in the game for 5 hours straight.
Well, I mean, you guys can on your own stream.
Yeah, we went on the other stream earlier, and the thing is, I was gonna go off that one directly into the game. I was just gonna go play some Vidya, but like as soon as we started that stream, I got that email from the Ribbit Coin thing.
Yeah.
And that just blew up for the past like 4 hours. My fucking whole Twitter account is just exploding. Nuclear. Yeah. Nuclear viral.
People say that nobody watches our video, no one listens to you. I'm like, well, apparently somebody does. Because, yes, Ethan Van Sciver has announced earlier that Ribbit coins were apparently a bad idea, and all that money is going to get refunded. You're welcome, Comicsgate.
Yeah, it's just a coincidence. Yeah, we got Ethan to back off of his own stupid campaign. He completely fucking cowered. He just fucking shrugged away. And we mentioned this with Doug Tenaple. It's like everyone else except the regular populace is already listening to our show, like Doug Tenaple, Tim Lim, a lot of big time comic people and indie comic people that are coming up. They're coming up in the world. They're already listening to us. And that also includes the important Ethan Van Sciver, the leader of the Comicsgate movement. Yeah, Ethan Van Sciver and several of his spies. But the thing is, I don't think Ethan even trusts his spies to fucking to update on us anymore, because I think I think he prefers to watch our videos himself these days, because you can't say he has bad taste necessarily.
Have we invited Donnie Cates to this? Look, I was under the impression Donnie Cates was kind of an unapproachable guy, but now that he's called into the Ethan show, I feel like it's way more fair game. So
can I get him on my 500 subscriber channel? I must be able to if he'll go on
I didn't know he was that easy to get a hold of. Maybe things have changed during the quarantine.
Yeah, he called in. He didn't just get requested to show up. He called in. So I mean, clearly. I'm sure we could have a perfectly decent stream with Donnie Cates, but I don't even think he's a good writer, to be honest. I think he's ordinary. He's average. For Marvel he's good, but that doesn't really mean a whole hell of a lot. That means nothing to me.
Yeah, it was painful, like watching that video where Donnie Cates called into Ethan, because to me, like, once Ethan says, hey, I'm live right now, there's 1,800 or however many people are watching, like, the proper response is, okay, I'll call later. But instead
that was his mistake.
Yeah, exactly.
Terrible mistake.
All right, so Thomas, you're writing again, or these are pages from 2017?
No, these are way old. This one's from 2017.
Okay.
Although I actually last week I was doing some writing, but it's on a script that's like 70 pages so far, and I don't actually have any intent to bring it here. I mean, I could, but the first 10 pages are like zero story, so it wouldn't actually be that worthwhile to present.
Okay, so we have Randall. All right, so tell us about Randall.
Randall, oh, that was
Randall
Monroe,
Randall
artist,
Monroe,
author, creator of XKCD. That's me.
Okay.
That's back when we used to claim, when people would ask us, "Oh, you criticize webcomics all the time. Do you have a webcomic?" And we tell them, "Yeah, my name is Randall Monroe. I write XKCD."
Yeah, please, here's the link, xkcd.com. Please don't be too harsh. I'm very sensitive.
Janice, by the way, thinks that Donnie Cates would be amused by our cape shit theories.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Cape shit theories.
Would they? Would ya?
Would ya?
Yeah, and hello, Mecca. You're welcome.
I would probably be nice to Donnie Cates if he was on. Yeah. I would not be saying that he writes mediocre cape shit at best. I would be saying more shit. I would be saying more complimentary stuff on that.
And by the way, Mecca Machizi, if you want to come on, just follow the link down in the description to the Discord. And there's a link to the writers group behind the scenes there.
Yeah, it seems a little sparse. Just having us three on seems a little sparse, to be honest.
It does.
That's why I want to make sure that at the very least I was here.
And I appreciate that, because it can't be a group if it's just me.
Yeah, if it was just me and you, that's two people. That's not even a writer's table. It's like a writer's chair.
I do have it's a chair. I have have like another 10 pages of that script, the story ideas I had that I presented last time.
So maybe next week you can bring that.
Yeah, that's why I figure.
And I got other piles of scripts, like from a year or 2 or 3 or 5 or 7 ago, that I can bring in the future, just in case, like it's a week that we almost could have taken off. Who knows?
But in another week, I could probably write some more too. I can maybe write. What I figured is I was going to polish up some of the stuff that I had already written, but I figure for this, it's just like, maybe I should just bang out another 10 pages. I actually came up with another story concept.
Although you got drunk. You got drunk tonight.
You got drunk because we did that other show. We did that other show earlier, the Monkey Cast.
The Monkey Bar, on Tony S's channel.
Monkey Bar Cast Bar.
Yeah, it was nice to hang out.
I was able to catch some of that.
You showed up.
I gotta say, I've been looking at the graph of my sales lately, and particularly when it comes to crowdfunding, and people really like the Guinevere story, and like Guinevere 2, if you total the campaigns up, is like $12,000 or so, and that's the best performance I've had on like a single issue of a comic book. Hello, Mecha McCheese.
Rustin, how's it going?
It's going
all right.
Hey, now we got 4 people. That's good.
Yeah.
You guys need a sexy succubus played?
Exactly.
Yes.
Yes.
And so I'm like, all right, I guess I better pull the trigger on Guinevere issue 3, and so I just sent the email to start pencils on that yesterday, and so that script that worked out here on the writer stream, where I'm about to be able to show you guys some pencils on it. So come on.
As just an observer, because I read the first issue of Guinevere, and I've read the 4 issues that I have of White Lily. Guinevere definitely seems to come together better, but White Lily, it interests me more, maybe because from
it's historical.
From 2000 to 2003, I watched the History Channel almost daily.
Obsessively. It wasn't almost daily. It was almost hourly. It was daily.
Yes. Just the Hitler Channel, basically, because it was World War II nonstop. And I watched it almost all the time.
That's something I was bringing up in a previous one of our writer room streams, is that it's just there's so many stories that can be told in that whole era and the whole world.
And I never heard this one. This is a true story, and I never heard anything. And not even if you took some creative liberties with the history of it, I never heard anything about this.
Yeah, if people know so little of it, I have to. And I pitch the comic so much, I've just incorporated into my pitch that I say it's real twice. and I have the picture of Lydia Litviak on the back of issue 1. So I'll point to the picture. I'll go, they were real fighters, actual, real flesh and blood people. History you've never heard of. And like if I say it 3 times, then because if I just say it once, then they'll come back and go, wait, they were real. I have to say it 3 times.
Yeah.
Oh,
It doesn't sink in. It doesn't.
The real people, true story.
Yeah.
Because
so many stories are like fake. They're like, oh, it's based on a true story.
Yeah, based on a true story, which can mean nothing.
Right.
Yeah,
to a lot of people,
Stalin,
like Fargo.
Yeah. Stalin was not exactly the progressive leader that some might have hoped for.
Yeah.
So
not so egalitarian.
Yeah, exactly. So once the war was over, he more or less like erased these ladies from history because he wanted a return to kind of traditional gender roles. He wanted the women to be, in the home and hearth kind of thing.
Because you need to repopulate, especially after you get 20 million of your own people killed. You need to repopulate.
And then like another 10 million dying in a famine and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
All that.
So he basically is like, all right, we're not going to talk about, the things that these women did. And it wasn't like we were going to talk about it in the West, so they just were forgotten to history. So I thought, I'll just
the only people who are going to help spread the story would be the people the countrymen of the people who it all happened to. Yeah, we barely
or the historians and storytellers. It's kind of up to them to actually dig up the stories and be like, hey, I'll tell a story about this. And I think comics is a great avenue for that. For something that has. Something that involves like action and
it's actually one of the things I find interesting is, of course, I hated history when I was a kid. When I was in middle school and high school, I didn't care because they clearly didn't teach it right. But yeah, there's a lot of stories from history that are just not reported correctly. Or one of the things I started to learn is that there's actually 2 sides to a lot of these stories. You hear one thing about a leader, and then years and years later, you also hear, oh, actually, all that stuff was fake. That was spread lies.
Napoleon wasn't actually short. That kind of shit.
Ty Cobb's my favorite historical figure who was lied about. Apparently, he wasn't even racist. They just said all that shit about him because he was such a good player. They wanted to drag him down, ruin his good name.
Yeah, like a fan of the Yankees was like, oh, that's this guy in the Tigers really beating us. We better like start all these stories. And so like his official biographer just personally hates him and has it out for him. And that's how it was in a lot of
course, it's good press. It's great press. It makes a lot of sales when it's like, oh, this famous ball player, yeah, he pistol whipped this black person for no reason.
And then the guy was acting too familiar to him or something.
You find out none of that was even true. And it's like, well, now what am I supposed to even believe? And one story sounds really ridiculous and the other sounds more honest and realistic.
Yeah, it made the stories, the popular stories about Ty Cobb, make him sound like a living cartoon where he's just pistol whipping and beating and stabbing just every person he came across. And then the other stories are like, oh no, actually he was just kind of nice.
He was actually nice.
He was kind of, there's aspects to him that are like, oh, he does sharpen his cleats and he'll talk tough and he'll take the game really seriously. But aside from that, he's not beating a groundskeeper, in front of his crying wife or something.
Screaming the N-word across the entire field, across the entirety of Tigers Field. Holy shit.
The old Tigers Field before the stadium.
All right, so Randall. All right, so we're going to need a narrator. I see a shady man.
Shady man. I could be Willem. I can do the voice of Willem.
Oh man, I'm so whacked right now. I'm up past my bedtime.
I'm not going to ask my brother to do any of the
I was thinking about walking out into the middle of Plaguelands to go buy some beer, and my brother's like, no, you shouldn't. We have a whole bunch of alcohol here in that bottle of rum. So I drank a shitload of that.
There you go.
So junk. So would you, Preston? Would you be able to do the narration?
Yeah, no problem.
Mecca, would you be able to basically just do all the other voices?
Yeah, which one are you playing?
I'll be Willem.
Everyone who's got Willem.
You got it.
All right, cool. All right, so is this is this where the story opens here on page 1? There's nothing you need to know before this?
No.
No, okay. All right, page 1, panel 1. A somewhat gangly man, Willem, blue eyes, bright pink dyed hair, short tufts of it, spike forward over his head. He wears a modest blue suit and pants, and he looks cautiously over his shoulder, being nervous, hunched a bit, about to enter an apartment building. Panel 2, inside the building, he is confronted by a shady-looking man.
You here to check out the goods?
Yes, yes.
Panel 3, Willem hands over a few folded pieces of paper currency, brighter green than usual, perhaps Kelly green. Page 2, the shady man leads Willem into an apartment room. Panel 2, close up on Willem as he looks shocked, his mouth open and his eyes wide, his face blushing. Panel 3, Willem rushes up onto something on the wall. We don't see what it is yet, but we see that Willem is enwrapped by it, his hand raising to touch something on the wall. It's a poster, though the reader shouldn't be able to know this yet. Panel 4, the shady man grabs Willem before it can touch the wall.
You know it costs extra to touch it.
Oh, yes, of course. I'm sorry. Will another 50 do?
Page 3, panel 1, Willem begins handing over more currency to the shady man.
If you can believe it, this is my job.
That's me doing.
Oh, my bad. I'm sorry.
if you can believe this is my job.
Panel 2, close up of the hands as the currency is touching the shady man's hand.
Few others would reduce themselves to this.
Panel 3, the rest of the page is taken up by a SWAT team busting in the door, smashing in through the windows as they rappel in, guns trained on the shady man. Willem is taking a step back as the shady man looks to be in a panic.
I make the sacrifice so that society is a better place.
Page 4, panel 1, the SWAT cops are pinning shady man to the ground. Another SWAT cop looks at what Willem was looking at on the wall, the poster, as Willem also looks at it calmly and casually.
Is that me?
Yeah.
Is that the...
Panel 2, same view and everything, but the SWAT cop is recording from what he saw, turning his head away in disgust. The cops in the background are cuffing the shady man.
Oh, God!
Yeah, this is the contraband.
Panel 3, the rest of the page is a view of what they're looking at. A massive body-sized poster that consists of absolutely nothing but the pure color of orange, bright and blatant.
Disgusting, isn't it?
Page 5, panel 1, the SWAT cop is looking away in disgust, not wanting to see it, as Willem just stares calmly at the poster.
What are you going to do with it?
Willem reaches to the top corner of the poster. Willem tears it down. Willem crushes the entire poster in a large ball, crumpling the orange inside, so the white backing of the poster is all that's visible. The shady man is still being held by 2 or 3 SWAT cops, yells out in anguish,
No!
One of the SWAT cops casually grabs a handgun, fires a handgun into the shady man's face, splattering his brains all over the face guard of another SWAT cop as the cops all have done goofy grins. Page 6, outside in front of the apartment building, Willem is holding a big white wad of crumpled poster bigger than his fist. The other SWAT cops are throwing shady man's body into a plain, ordinary garbage can off the side of the apartment building's main entrance. One of the SWAT guys still has a ton of blood and brains over his helmet visor as he asks Willem a question.
So what happens to contraband now?
It just goes into an incinerator back at Pure Dep.
Willem driving home in his plain little gray compact car.
I tell him that because they wouldn't enjoy hearing that I'm going to keep this one. He has grittier narration. They're merely the police, not officially part of the purity department. They don't understand that in order to investigate the color, you have to understand what you're hunting. You can't get rid of the color orange without knowing what it looks like. And if no one knew what it looked like, they wouldn't know why it needs to be gone. That's why the censors are the only ones allowed to look at it.
Willem, in his car as he drives, POV is from his seat upwards as Willem near his pants pocket as he looks down to the POV with his right hand off the wheel and near the POV source as well. His left hand remains on the wheel. He's giving only a quick casual glance at whatever is down in his pants pocket. We don't see his hand or what's in it.
It used to disgust me when I first started this job. I couldn't see it without wincing.
Page 6 continues. Panel 4, we see Willem is looking at the crumpled ball, and it's just a tiny hint of orange peeking from a bent corner, glowing so dang orange that it seems to radiate a corrupting orange glow of orangeness. He's holding it in his right hand as if he had pulled it from his pants pocket, though it would probably be too large to fit inside there.
Now I'm used to it. Something about that fact sickens me. I was just staring at the full size of this a few minutes ago. I'm getting desensitized to this whole thing, as if there was no big deal about the color. The color!
An extreme close-up view of the crumpled ball, as its hint of orange more blatant now, it seems, making some of the white poster material around it appear to be sort of glowing afterimage of orange, as if the orange was radiating and polluting the material around it.
Such a gaudy color, obnoxious, arrogantly bright. It attacks all other colors around it. When brighter, it's blinding like poison in your eyes, souring your soul with its tart visual. When duller, it's brown like a river of sewage that you can feel forcing itself down your throat, trying to drown you and disease you at the same time while making you vomit. So you drown on it and your own vomit both at the same time. You're getting all that hepatitis and botulism and Ebola and AIDS and other grody stuff. There's not one single good thing about the color. It is healthy and normal to barely tolerate it or its related shades. Even if I wasn't told to hate it, I would have hated it naturally.
Panel 1, interior bar. Willem is perhaps 5 years younger, in his early 20s. Fresh face, shorter hair, less defined hair spikes. He stands next to a few of his peers after work who are laughing and joking around. Willem is physically separated from them, not joining in, looking down at his drink. They're all dressed in thin black ties and plain white-collared shirts, which are loosened except for Willem, as if to display that Willem never stops working. He takes his work everywhere if he needs to. One male coworker is making what amounts to a lewd joke, while others around him laugh, including a woman who is also a coworker and similarly dressed.
Hey, anyone want a screwdriver?
Careful, when you get a tan, you might end up looking really orange.
Well, we could practice shooting stuff in my backyard. Or we could go down to the range.
The word orange itself is banned. Only a censor is allowed to say it without facing heavy fines, and for good reason, as the word itself stings my ears to even think of it silently. Any words that sound too close to orange are considered in bad taste to speak, including parts of the word itself. Most in polite society choose to say alternatively instead of or. My peers within the purity department tend to make jokes about this. I believe in an immature example of being able to get away with what other people can't. I used to attempt to socialize with them when I was first assigned as a censor.
Willem, wearing his suit, out on a date at a restaurant with a nice lady. His hair is dyed light pink.
After a few months, I preferred to socialize away from my coworkers. And then I work for the purity department of the Bureau of Unwelcoming to Offensive Imagery. In fact, I was one of the first censors ever assigned to the job.
The boy, right?
Boy.
Boy, right?
Panel 3, William blushes a bit, looking bashful. The nice lady smirks.
Well, that's what the media calls it. We just call it the full name, but I guess, you can call it the boy if you want. But when you asked if we arrest people, no, we're not actually a government organization. We're a public committee. All we can do is petition the government to incur penalties on violators. Though with the government's attitudes towards our activities, they approve every penalty we submit. If violators are found to be uncooperative, the local police department usually handles them. And because we're not part of the government, we can commit any searches of seizing of property that we want, which avoids violating the Constitution.
Panel 4, she leans in towards him, grinning at him more as he blushes and looks even more bashful and adorable.
Adorable.
Your knowledge of federally mandated penalties is driving me wild. I can't get enough. I can't even wait to get home. I want you to take me right here and now.
Page 8, an extreme close-up of their faces as they are both clearly having sex. He grunts into her neck as he's probably shooting a fat load into her womb. She's closing her eyes and moaning in ecstasy.
I suppose people appreciate the work I do. Alternatively, at least the power I wield. But to me, it's not about the power.
Panel 2, she's asleep on the couch, laying against him as the TV lights them up with an ordinary white light. He's looking through her purse. Panel 3, his POV, his hand pulling from her purse a faded photograph of her as a small child with her mother sepia-toned with an orange tint. Panel 4, William M. burning the picture over his stove. The stove flames itself as blue, though the picture burning does give off a white and very slightly orange flame, as if cleansing it of its orangeness.
It's about making the world a better place.
Page 9, Panel 1, a small panel of a nice lady saying goodbye as William M. holds his apartment door open for her.
The decent people of our cities have no fear of being persecuted for what are called tangy crimes.
Panel 2, William going further into his apartment near the back where William is kneeling by the air exchange vent along the wall near the floor.
No good person would ever have a tartful thought in their heads naturally. Our modern civilization is too evolved, too advanced culturally, unlike the barbarians of the past decades and centuries.
The vent-covered pull away as William is pulling a small key out from within.
That's why they're safe from prosecution by the Purity Department, because they are good people who don't think about orange.
William M. is turning the key in a closed door within his apartment. Panel 5, a large panel takes up most of the page as William stands in a massively orange room. Orange streamers hang from the ceiling, pictures of orange, though not large pictures. A table contains 3 oranges that have been sealed in a block of lucite, a small simple clay statue that was painted bright orange, a bright jar of orange hobby paint, a larger can of orange house paint, a chair that's painted a sort of dark orange, a picture of Donald Trump looking pretty orange and also smug. None of the objects should be large, nothing that he could be caught taking. Not everything in the room is orange. It's mostly a room with a collection of various orange objects.
And they're lucky that they don't have to.
Panel 10, William is pinning up the orange poster to one of the walls of his treasure trove.
In polite company, I tell people that I do my work because I'm just following regulations created by our legal system. Privately, though, I do this work because my hatred of the tartful color is so strong that it would put most people off. I've blown more than one date with my ranting about how disgusting I find the color.
POV of William as he stares at the poster, the orange somewhat glaring onto his face as he frowns.
My hatred has tempered my disgust. I don't recoil, I just seethe.
From behind his back, William profiled against the poster in front of him.
I'm glad for that. It means I know I still feel something about it, even if my feelings are duller these days.
Panel 3, William outside the door as he locks it with a key. So
that's 10 pages.
That's 10 pages. All right.
10 pages of orange.
10 pages of orange.
Everything rhymes with orange.
Do we get them everything?
Anything.
Aren't you glad? I'm thinking of something orange. Something orange. Did you guess?
This video is sponsored by Tang.
The amount of time I've heard orange is making me have an allergic reaction to the word there.
See, it's already working.
Well, you can see why they would have to destroy.
Now you know why it has to be against the law.
Yeah.
I think I missed the pitch for this. I'm really curious to understand what I just participated in.
Yeah, it was funny when we did our old reading with Nice Mod back in 2017, which is on my channel, the reading of the entire script back when the main character was named Thomas, because I didn't want to come up with a new character. So it's just like, I'll just reuse Thomas like I've used in my other. I want to have Thomas in more comic scripts, so I just use that. And like halfway into like page 5 or 6, Nice Mod, who was reading the whole thing, was like, "What the hell is this even about?" And and I guess my elevator pitch is it's like Equilibrium, but for oranges.
But for the color orange.
And with less gun kata. A lot less.
So it's definitely weak. It's definitely weaker.
Yes.
So you took a goofy movie and you took the best part out of it.
Yes, exactly.
Exactly.
I took the one good thing out of it.
It's the one good thing, and you don't got it.
You don't got it.
So I'm thinking of something blue. Something blue.
Yeah. All right. Let's do positives. It was.
Are there
funny. I mean, it was had me laughing. I think this is a very comedic idea, and as far as I could tell, that's definitely how you're approaching it.
Yes.
It's kind of funny to have this hard-boiled, disgusted approach, which we're used to seeing. I mean, how many times have we seen a detective from a hard-boiled novel being like the evils I see are just disgusting.
The sewer, the grimy, gritty sewage of this city.
One of my favorite sound drops that we never reference is, what kind of a monster does that?
Jesus Christ, what kind of a monster does something like that?
So,
but yeah, if that's the way you feel about this now, that it's a lighthearted, hilarious, funny little satire, you have absolutely the wrong idea. I know this because I've listened to the whole script reading.
The whole thing is a satire.
It turns into some kind of. It turns into some kind of fucked up.
There is a twist to it, I guess, if you read the entire thing. But overall, it's not actually. It turns into a horror thing. That doesn't happen, or it doesn't turn into a real crime saga.
Not exactly Lovecraftian.
Yeah, it's a Lovecraftian combined with oranges, I guess you could say.
That's what it turns into.
Without all, it's Lovecraft without all that existential horror stuff. I'm not a fan of that. So take that. Whatever.
Color out of space.
Yes, yeah.
Now we know which color.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, Mac and McCheese, positive notes. What do you think?
Yeah, I like the grittiness of it. Like, just came up. I don't know. Maybe it did come off as really goofy, but I enjoyed that. It kind of like delved headfirst into the color orange. Why that stood out so much? To me, the word orange didn't just stand out because it was repeated so many times. Like the idea really got in my head.
Yeah.
So
evocative imagery.
Yeah, if you can get the sense of like the main character, like just how much he hates the sound, the color, the idea of it,
the belief, the concept.
Yeah, the somehow that like not just him but society believes that orange
in a
is
society
bad.
That now looks at this thing that is now illegal.
Is there an orange tentacle monster that shows up?
No, it's actually not. It doesn't become fantastical. It just takes a kind of a weird turn.
Okay. For the main character to hate something as a character trait, I really enjoy that for some reason.
Yeah, it's sort of a villain protagonist, which you don't really see often. I mean, not to be like, that's why my stories are so great. But I mean, that's always something I feel is kind of missing.
It's so great
from people's approaches. There was a comic. There's actually an indie comic called Our Love Is Real from like 2011 or something, and I think it was just released digitally, so it was on Comixology for like $1. And it was about like after AIDS is cured, suddenly just everyone fucks everything, and so like people are fucking like crystals and shit. And the guy, the main character is like a brutal like jackboot police guy who's just bashing people's skulls, just murdering them by beating their heads in, and it's totally okay. And he's in love with a dog. He has sex with a dog, and he's like, at least my love is real because the dog is actually a real thing. You can't have sex with plants or crystals or that other stupid new age shit. So it's just like a villain protagonist with no good guys. And I kind of like that approach. And not that I based this story on this. The story is sort of based on just a couple other, Equilibrium, but other various ideas that I sort of had around for a bunch of years.
Well, it's also, I mean, not to spoil anything. I love to spoil stories for people. It's basically social justice taken to a ridiculous extreme.
Yeah, but cartoonishly.
I was getting that. Yeah.
Yeah. That's basically what it. Yeah, because this was in 2017 and like early. Actually, I wouldn't even say 2017 because this was before Trump was elected. I think that I started writing this, but and it was before even the Orange Man bad meme, right, which was more around 2018 and 2019. But
predicting history.
Yeah, and then Trump is, of course, in. There's a picture of Trump in it, yeah, as if like that's part of why people hate oranges so much. But it actually doesn't. It's not specifically about Trump or necessarily social justice, but it's definitely about that sort of mentality that causes people to constantly be on the hunt for every single thing. Hunt for the Red October, except instead of the Red October, it's every single thing humanly possible.
The Orange October.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in terms of conflict, I mean, the one that has been presented is... Well, I mean, yeah. All right, so I'm looking for.
It's kind of weird and vague in a way.
Yeah, man versus society. That's something that definitely resonates with me.
Or society versus society in a way.
Yeah,
too.
I'm sensing man versus society.
Mm-hmm.
Which is good. Is that where the story indeed goes? I'm assuming.
Yeah, there's to some extent, yeah, with a kind of a I don't know if I want to say there's a twist to it because. It's not really exactly even a twist. It's just
spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. I mean, should I just spoil the whole thing because it's just a one shot?
Yeah, sure.
So if you read like the next 10 pages, you would find this out. But it's sort of like it's
Equilibrium.
Well, it's now that you mention Equilibrium, that's a really good comparison.
I don't know if you guys have ever watched the
Did you ever hear this movie Equilibrium? No, but it's sort of like what Christopher Hitchens used to refer to as the censor's dilemma or something like that.
Very 1984. 1984 would also be
but I mean, that's what Equilibrium was kind of supposed to be, like a take on 1984 with more shooting people in the face over puppies and that kind of stuff.
So definitely way better than 1984.
So much better than 1984. Ugh, 1984. Who cares? But
I don't think that movie was any good, actually.
Yeah, the movie 1984. Kind of bland, kind of depressing. It's really
I did
no
see
shootouts.
I got the picture from watching the movie. I don't need to read the book now because I saw the movie.
Yes, but the idea, though, that the man who must watch all the pornography to censor it is the one who becomes debauched, as Christopher Hitchens said, and that ultimately, and it's kind of hinted, and he has this room full of orange stuff, and you just see him get in. He gets in too deep. It's like the deepening. He gets in way too deep, and he just starts becoming an addict to orange. And he's like, "Oh, these people dripping orange juice onto their faces," and he starts doing it, and he gets like way too into it, and he becomes the orange degenerate that he was hunting all along, and he starts just losing it over 10 pages.
What was that thing? We were listening to that on ROTC, where it's the Facebook censors get red pilled.
Oh yeah, the people who were trying to censor Facebook were like, "Whoa, is that true about Hillary? She actually did that?" And then all of a sudden, they're not going to be censors anymore. They're completely corrupted by the information that they're being forced to fucking discover and cover up.
That. 2016, way back in the old days.
Yeah.
It seems so long ago. Wow.
Seems like a million lifetimes. A million.
A thousand.
The world was so different then.
Yeah. It hit me like a diamond bullet right in my forehead.
And I feel like in like the last month or so, and I was going to talk about this and maybe some of my last week comics videos or something, but I feel like Comicsgate and comic, and like the mainstream comic book industry are, have just been like drunk texting each other and are trying to get back together for like revenge sex or something. Like I feel like
with extra choking apparently because
extra hate fucking.
Yes.
Yeah. I like.
There's something bizarre about all of it, about the weird interconnect. But you can tell, you can really see that Comicsgate is trying to beg, like, you guys, you comics pros, you need to join Comicsgate because they see themselves shrinking. Right. That means that they can see themselves shrinking, and the comics pros are, I think, just bored. Like the industry itself is so bored.
Like the comics pros are putting out like Snowflake and Safe Space, and Donny Cates is calling it. I'm like for like the last 6-8 months, like these two groups weren't even really mentioning each other all that much, and then all of a sudden it's like, all right, damn it, let's throw down some gauntlets. And I'm like, is this just because we're about to go into an election year again, or what the hell?
Yeah, I don't know if it's that and
the coronavirus.
I think they're going maybe a little stir crazy, and I think they're just sort of because regular comics, the comics industry, Marvel, DC, it's boring. There's nothing interesting about it.
But if they know better, they know that they have a steady job. The people who are already working for the big two, they have a steady job now. They'd be crazy to risk that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, who calls somebody at 1:30 in the morning?
It's like Stockholm system for both sides. They're addicted to the abuse.
Yeah, I think that's actually a good point. There seems to be a big element of how they want to, like they want to instigate each other just for something to talk about. I think there's an element of that.
For both sides?
Yeah, for both sides, yes.
I didn't know Donny Cates had a YouTube channel.
Does he?
Does he?
Well, I think
I don't know
was saying that.
The Venom guy?
Donny Cates, who's that?
I don't know. Why would you call Ethan Van Sciver at 1:30 in the morning?
Yeah, wait, yeah, that's a weird. I mean, maybe he lives in California. Does he live in California, perhaps? Because then that would be like 11 or
does
something.
he live in the UK or Japan or something?
That's just really weird. I would not call that man at that early in the morning or late at night.
I would not call a fat, aging, gay, bald man at 1:30 in the morning.
I want to talk to you about saving comics.
Yeah.
How do you explain that to Andrea?
I mean, isn't Donny Cates doing more and a better job of saving comics than anyone in Comicsgate? Oh, it's meth. Okay, well, that calls it.
But I feel like 2016 was so intense and acrimonious, and like the sides were drawn, and now like it's I feel like people, particularly the opinion makers who were getting paid with all the hate clicks and stuff, are like, gee, wouldn't it be cool if we could do a sequel of that? But I don't know, I'm just not seeing it. Like,
their heart's not in it.
Especially 2016. That's the funny thing is that you have the Republican Party split by never Trumpers, and then the entire left wing against Trump, obviously. And he still managed to at least get 50% of the fucking vote, or 49%. But the fact that
70% if you take out like 2 million fraudulent votes.
Yeah, yes. But just that fact that he won by that much, and yet so many people were against him, it's a little surprising to think.
That's bizarre. Yeah,
I'm glad that he won, really. But
there's kind of a desperation setting in now that Bernie dropped out today.
There's like full on panic, and it's funny because didn't Bernie like drop out last month too?
He dropped out like over a month ago, and now he's officially dropping out.
Now he's really dropped out for real this time,
for sure. And we're left with Bernie Taupin. I mean, whoever, fucking vice president, nobody. Bernie Taupin.
No, it's Biden. But I always figured Biden was going to be the candidate anyways, and he's not going to win either.
It's such a weird cult, though. All you have to do is publish a book.
Publish a comic book, buy a scanner, plug it in, and if your drivers are hot, you press a button. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing that doesn't make any sense to me is how many people want to print comics. It's just, do you want to make a comic? I mean, look at Penny Arcade. I wanted to use Penny Arcade as a reference for how to make a comic successful, and I don't even like Penny Arcade.
Yeah, we've always really kind of thought Penny Arcade was really just annoying, irritatingly nerd dumb shit. Like he did that one comic about how make the sandwich with this part and this and add this, and it's like, you make cool sandwiches. It's like, yeah, because I roll 20s. And it's like, you have a better chance of rolling a max if you just roll a D6. You have way higher chance of rolling the maximum roll
if it's
just a D6. I hate math. I actually despise. I'm racist against math, and even I know this.
The key thing is also they made a lot of money. They ended up,
they were rich.
Yeah, they made a bunch of money from webcomic money, and they got their start, 1997 or something?
I think it was
a million years ago.
98, 99.
It's like about the time that Marvel went bankrupt.
Yeah, actually, I think it was like the same year Marvel
Might
went bankrupt.
not be a coincidence, really. Marvel went bankrupt, and then webcomics just exploded in popularity. Sluggy Freelance. Again, Sluggy
Freelance I actually liked.
I liked Sluggy Freelance, but I find it hard to defend. That's what I'll say about Sluggy Freelance.
I can't defend something I haven't read for 20 years, so yeah.
It's been a long time.
So we've been biding time, just waiting for you guys to come up with a criticism.
Yeah. Well, I still have to praise the comic, but you know what?
Yeah. Oh, okay.
I have to piss. I drank. The thing is,
it's a conflict of interest to have my brother actually.
It's a conflict of interest. I have to drink a whole bunch of water. I have to drink a whole bunch of water.
Yeah, I really don't have a whole lot of constructive notes. It's
is there destructive? Is there anything destructive?
Well, here's the thing. Yeah. Let's face it. I mean, if we're going to compare this to Equilibrium, again, we already mentioned it.
Yeah, that's actually the best. That's one of the best constructive criticisms. Not enough shootouts. But yeah, I mean, would you say that
it's the reason behind shootouts?
Like, would you say if? Wow, that was one hell of a reference. But would you say that this would be a comic book that you would buy for like a couple bucks or what?
Sure.
Or $1.
I think so. Yeah, definitely.
It literally is on sale. Literally is on sale for $1. That's how we roll.
I would definitely love to have this comic made like either next or soon or something because it's easier to make a one shot. It's nice to just have a singular issue. That's why I kind of want to recommend to anyone who is curious about writing comics is try to see what it's like to just write one issue.
I mean, a lot of the comics that have been on this show already that we've been talking about, it's like, I'd like to see the continuation of this story. Mm-hmm. But a one shot, that's great. How many pages is this exactly?
I think it's almost 30.
All right, yeah.
Or like 31, something like that.
Well, then my criticism would be you need to get it down to 23 or 24.
Is that a legitimate criticism? Or
more destructive?
Destructive. There's like the standard comic size, and then there's the 48-page charge $25 for it.
Yeah, size. Hitting right in between that is kind of
hitting
awkward.
Right in between is kind of.
I mean, yeah, if I could pare it down a bit, but the thing is that each page does have like a very necessary advancement of an event. But I mean, that's always worth considering is how to make the story as short as humanly possible.
Is there a way to pare it down more?
Yeah, any way possible.
In this case, no, there isn't.
No,
it's perfect. As it is.
It's
perfect the way it is.
We finally found the perfect comic.
I'm friends with a lot of normies. Well, technically, I'm the only non-normie in my group. I can see a lot of people more willing to jump into manga than comics.
Yeah. And I always
they're already reading
in general. But the thing is, it wasn't until some guy I knew was like, hey, here's this comic Berserk. You might like it. And I was like, yeah, I'll see about that. You know,
it's a great comic. You should read it. Yeah, I'll be the judge of that. And then
we
read it.
And it was like, oh, you're right. It actually,
I was the judge of that.
Unconditionally love this comic. Yeah, it's so good. I mean, it will never end, but it's still really good. I would rather have Berserk that never ends than a mediocre comic that is even conclusive, to be honest. Sometimes
that's the thing. I think we talked about this in the previous show. Well, me and whoever. Other guys, Darth Sidious,
Darth Lungus,
Darth Sand, the most famous Darth, the most famous.
Have you heard the tragedy of Darth Lungus?
We were talking. I think I mentioned Berserk as like even the author kind of wants to get to the ending of this now.
Yeah, I think you can kind of tell because I mean it's been dragging on for like 30 years and it looks like it's close to the end because like Griffiths basically owns an entire kingdom to himself where he's a god and a beautiful.
And this could go on for another 30 years and I would read it.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the thing about manga is that a lot of them just understand, and there's problems with a lot of manga. You know, every one of them can have criticisms.
If we're going to,
but they know how to
DBZ or
not that
whatever.
Naruto, but there's something about manga that knows how to scratch an itch at least.
Here's one I don't get. We keep in mind what Richard said. Customers don't walk into customers. I don't know what that means.
Yeah,
he said that during one of his things.
Does that mean?
What the fuck is he even talking about? He said that. He said this.
Yeah. Here's the thing: is that comes from a larger video that I downloaded because he's so stupid and whiny, and he's like screaming with anger in it.
Yeah,
that I downloaded it.
Yeah.
But I didn't tone when he says this.
Yes, his whiny bitch tone. But the thing is, I didn't watch any of the rest of the video because I can't stand to listen to this fucking retard.
Agonizing to listen to.
Yeah, he's so stupid.
It's painful.
But he's stupid and whiny in that video. So it's
this
like
one in particular, though.
For the customers don't walk into customers, I'm pretty sure what he's saying is something that's just on its face false.
He was trying to explain how people don't get the coronavirus by being in exposure to other people, which he's just wrong.
He was trying weighing in on it.
Yeah, it was about the digital market. Someone was like, "Hey, digital, in the coronavirus setting, comics should go digital," and he was screaming. He was so fucking angry and screaming that somebody would recommend digital comics ever, and his entire argument was nobody likes digital comics. He said you don't read a file. He says you read a book, you don't read a file. Meanwhile, just a couple days ago, we got the digital version of Common America, and I read the file, and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. The physical version is in the mail.
While we were sitting here talking, I got an email of the Napalm Brothers to my email box.
Oh, snap!
And I signed up for the $10 physical version, so apparently that comes with a free PDF as well. So.
Yep, yeah, which seems helpful and handy.
Yeah. I appreciate being able to have it digitally always. Exactly. In fact, that's also the thing is the digital copy we got of Common America is like 300 megs. And it's like, that's kind of a lot, but I guess I'll keep it. I'll keep it.
Is it 300 megs? I thought it was like 50 or something.
For me, I'm pretty sure it's 300. That's the thing is like, what is the thing I have of Punisher, not Punisher Warzone, but Punisher Max. Punisher Max is not even that big.
Oh yeah, wait, here's my full comics. Here's Rags 1 uncensored 34 megs, Rags 2 uncensored 44 megs, Rags 3 55 megs. They're getting bigger and bigger.
Rags 4 put a watermark on the pages.
Mine are really ridiculous.
He doesn't have that.
I actually for my latest download, I actually had to go back and make the file smaller because for a while. People were like, it's digitized. By the way, I just want to read this comment here real quick for it. The imaginary dilemma of CG versus SJW simply does not exist. There's a plethora of comics out there that do not subscribe to
that's the thing is that had to be invented by this whole it's like a back and forth that basically got
it was originally just social justice versus people who like that whole
social justice
speech thing.
Censorship versus anti-censorship.
Exactly.
Right now censorship is ruled by the left wing,
and censorship is kind of winning in a way, but the thing is it's not stopping anyone. It didn't the only thing you could say it stopped so far was Sean Gordon Murphy pulled back from doing the cover for a Bigfoot Bill 2, but then Mike Mignola is doing the cover for Earthworm Jim 2, which I just saw.
Yes.
Right.
And that's awesome.
And yes, and in response to this commenter, I think PDF is a good way to decide if you like something. And, I offer, PDFs for $5, and I get a lot of backers that way. And
if people are going for it, somebody clearly liked it.
Yeah, and for me, that's... You want to introduce them on a low. I just wrote an article about this yesterday. You want to have as low an introductory price point as you can for potential customers because they don't know you.
Yeah. How are they going to find out what your comics are even about unless they can sort of get an easy jump?
A lot of these are experimental for them. They don't.
Yes.
Again, especially
it's a risk. I've taken huge risks. Not huge risk, but I've taken a risk, even spending $3 on a book that might suck. That's $3 I could have spent on anything else. I could have bought 6 candy bars with that.
Exactly. That's a lot of food.
Yes.
Because again, for us, we're poor. But a lot of this is measured against food.
I mean, theoretically, for $3 a day, I could feed myself for the whole day.
Apparently, my books are not as big as
Punchline.
Super Fan, but 2 gigs. Jeez, that's a huge file.
Yeah, that's when you should really kind of size your thing down, because you don't need your digital comic to be that big.
Here, wait a second. In fact, I actually just saw PDFs, White Lily 1 through 4, all of them combined, 197 megs, which it's a bit. But I mean, for modern comics, that's kind of expected for a high resolution. You usually expect that. Common America, 240.
Yeah, 242.
Punisher Max properties, 676 MB. That is like 1 through 58. That's 58 issues of Punisher Max, and it's just 3 times larger than this single Common America.
It's about a gig. 703.
I'm not complaining.
For the whole run of Punisher Max.
I'm not complaining. But that's Punisher. It's all of that's more of Punisher Max than I usually even care to have.
But I actually read it sometimes. Sometimes I'll just go into the Punisher Max and start actually reading the digital files I have, and I quite enjoy them. Yes, I actually like my digital files of comics. Some people just do.
I read them, and guess what? It's actually reading. It's not reading. That's what they want to tell you. That's what Richard wants you to believe, is that if you read it digitally, you're not really reading it because you're not holding it in your hand.
Richard and Comicsgate, this is what they actually... They're like Scientology. This is what they actually believe. And it's no less stupid than Xenu throwing frozen alien souls into volcanoes.
And then nuking them, and then the souls float up out of the volcanoes into a soul collector, which they then drop into the humans. All that is Comicsgate.
Are you guys talking about your next comic book?
That should be
comic idea. It's called Xenu.
Original comic idea.
The Warrior Princess.
Do not see us.
Xenu, the Warrior Princess.
All right. So does everybody have Guinevere issue 4 script?
Oh, let me pull that up.
Divinity Factory 4.
I'm seeing spots. I have to go to the bathroom. My bladder's about to explode.
Right, go ahead.
You do that. Written by author. What?
Yeah, I need to get it so it doesn't put in the title page.
Eric's Radiant Smile, page 1. Is this just the page 1? Oh, yeah, okay. This is continuing off from 3 because we read 3.
Yep.
And then crazy stuff happened. Eric was the android that got hit with the whammy by Guinevere.
Got hit with the mind whammy. Now he's in love. Yeah. So yes, we closed issue 3 with Eric the android having captured Guinevere, who cast a spell on him that caused him to fall in love with her, which is of course a novel sensation for an android. And so he's now kind of exploring human emotions, which is how we're going to open up issue 4. So I'm going to need an Eric. I'm going to need a Guinevere.
I'm usually Guinevere.
Okay, there we go. We have an Eric. We have a Guinevere. I'll need a narrator. And then eventually there will be a Gatsby.
While we're waiting for the other guy to get back, I just had a question for you guys.
Sure, go ahead.
Just a quick 2-second pitch. Do you think a book about the Korean War would be a viable indie comic?
No.
I to be honest,
that would be a documentary.
Yeah, but documentary comic. But you know what's funny is that the one Richard was talking about how he did that. I was actually looking forward to that back when I was actually watching his videos. I was like, oh, a comic about the Korean War sounds cool. And then I never read it, but from all the other stuff I heard about he did an animatic for like an animated short for it and all this stuff, and it sounded so fucking cringe. Yeah, it was called Chosen, the Frozen something. I don't know.
He did do a book on that, didn't he?
Yeah, but it disappeared into nothingness.
Yeah, if you want to set a comic during the Korean War, I'd say sounds good. But if you want to make a comic about the Korean War,
it's more of a documentary.
Yes, as a documentary.
So are you going to document it, or are you going to tell a story? The thing is, I think Richard was trying to tell a story which was fictional, and you know how his writing is.
Yeah.
It was like the most
good.
It was the most cliched shit I had ever heard.
Apparently, yes, it was the Korean War. So, yeah, Richard was going to do one about the Korean War.
His writing would be
he did one. He did one, and when it was sent out for solicitation, it was the price was $20, and it was marked as 20 pages. So all the comic shops were like, no. And then it turns out it wasn't actually 20 pages; it was like 100 or something. I was like, oh no, that. And then it's like, oh well, there that whole comic is just right in the trash, in the dustbin of history.
Oh, we missed out on a scene where a wounded soldier tells a healthy soldier to go on without him.
Yes, exactly. And then there's also the "you feel that" and that kind of stuff. It's like, where'd you learn to shoot? Chicago. Because I'm black. I'm black, and I live in Chicago, so I shot many people. My own race. It's like, okay, thanks, Richard. Thanks for that insight.
Yeah. And Corana wants to know, if are you gonna? We're doing historical fiction, I assume, right?
Yeah. Would it be a historical fiction? Would it be a fictional story set in it, or would it be an actual true story from the Korean War?
Oh no, just an action book.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just an action funny book set in the Korean War. A lot of explosions. A lot of people getting ripped up. That'd be cool.
Because Apocalypse Now was like that.
Yeah.
If you don't fall into the trap of doing political part, okay. Exactly. So, I mean, look, I set mine during World War II, but I gotta say, as I was talking earlier here, but Mecha and Cheese hadn't quite come on yet. Guinevere 2 is, the Guinevere storyline is selling better than White Lily, and I think there's certainly more of a market for sexy women and magic than there is like a gritty war story, and
that's definitely to be considered.
Yeah, I mean, just in choosing the setting of a Korean War, that means probably not going to have a whole lot of sexy ladies.
Yeah, people expect that to be like bleak and sad and depressing. Going right in, you'd have to somehow, like on the cover, you'd have to sell it as either something else, or you'd have to be willing to accept that people, it's not going to sell as much as something that looks more lively, perhaps. Even if it's good.
Yes, boobs power comic sales.
Yeah.
And if you don't got any, you're just not going to sell a bunch. It's just what it is,
Like even like Overripe, it's like I would love to make this comic, but I would fully accept that it would probably bomb massively. I don't expect it. If I made it, I would not expect it to really sell, even if it had like good word of mouth and stuff, because it's not like it's not big and spicy and in your face. It's just kind of a weird little. It's kind of a small enclosed, goofy sort of satire.
Might be the lesbian factor. Are you saying that the lesbian factor is detracting
from White Lily?
Adding? Because to me, I think the thirsty boys are gonna come in for that, except unless they're in Comicsgate, in which case, apparently lesbians. Like I didn't even. This one came out of nowhere. I thought for sure.
Yeah, I thought that was
gays
real.
would like this. No. And so it turns out no dykes. I'm like,
but
okay.
I have to say it's always a good thing that at least you weren't trying to appeal to Comicsgate. You just think, well, Comicsgate would like this kind of thing, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
Oh, they don't. Well, then fuck them.
Exactly. Yeah. So waiting on the brother to come back. According to the media, lesbians don't make money.
There's social justice somehow.
Yeah. Are you familiar with the Russian series The Attackers? I am not.
How about the band Tattoo?
Yes.
Everyone's familiar with them.
Yeah.
They were lesbians.
I like
them. Well, not they weren't really lesbians, but they pretended to be at least.
They got that one song, "They're Not Gonna Get Us" or whatever.
Yeah, we're on the run because we're lesbians. They're hunting us down because we're lesbians. And then at the end, they both get shot to death by machine guns. Something like that. It's like, whatever.
Arrested for hooliganism.
Yes. And then in real life, they're just both of them are just married to guys and they have families. And they're like, that was a while ago. We were teenagers. Yeah. It was spicy, whatever.
It's good for an MTV Music Award or something.
Yeah, exactly.
So, boy, Comicsgate's really been. I'm waiting for your brother to come back. So if he's
I'm
Did
here.
he get lost?
I'm here.
Oh, you're here. Okay, cool. All right, he is here. Okay, great.
Pat is back.
Then I won't have to worry about what comics are. So, But they have been going after Mike S. Miller a lot lately. Like, although I know that's
they forget about a lot of their victims and their targets frequently.
Yeah.
Short attention spans.
Exactly. All right. So we're gonna need a narrator, Eric, Gatsby, and a Guinevere.
Okay, I'm still seeing almost double. I'm still almost nearly seeing double, so I'm gonna have to pawn this off onto everyone else.
I can read Guinevere at least. Okay, page 2.
I will do Gats. If you want, I can do Gatsby and Eric, and Mecha McCheese can be the narrator. How's that?
Okay. Yeah, I can do that. So,
wait. Why don't we reverse? I'll do the narration, and you do the dialogue because you like.
Wait, even longer. I need a drink of water. I need a drink of water. Hold on.
He actually needs water. We can just go though. That's fine.
Okay, so I'll be Eric. You said.
I will always look at that comment that Ethan made when we want gay men too because gay men make lots of money. Remember, as a couple,
combined as a couple, as him subtextually coming out of the closet. Good job, Ethan. We're very proud of you to have come out of the closet like that.
Yeah. Okay. So,
all right.
Okay. So narrator, that will be me. I will start us off here. Okay. All right.
Oh, that's a little too big now.
Yeah, that is a little too big.
Too big.
It's still readable. 100%. It's still actually quite readable.
Yeah, I can see it.
All right. Eric's radiant smile beams his contentment. His head rests on a sci-fi table from last issue.
This is me.
That is you.
Never have I felt as one of you before. Joy that overwhelms your primitive brains. Intensity clouding cognition. Euphoria must be the source of humans claiming unity with the divine.
Panel 2. Guinevere stands over Eric like a magical masseuse. Her fingers stretch out from her hands to channel pleasant blue magical energies towards Eric as he reclines below her. She keeps her face impassive as he drones on.
Your ancestors believed that your capacity for reason set you apart from the animals. Religious texts represented the cutting-edge reasoning of the most influential minds of their age.
Panel 3, series of panels of Eric in profile view. In panel 3 through 5, Eric continues his bemused lecture against a background that reflects the dialogue. In the background for this panel, a prophet reminiscent of Muhammad speaks to a gathering where Eric is present, with a photo reference.
HTTP. No, just kidding. I have been around long enough. I have been around long enough to have seen it all. Prophets speaking heresy to demonstrate their understandings of wisdom.
Panel 4, Eric speaks against a background showing a prophet leading a procession in the style depicted, but without the face veiled.
Followers who create a new orthodoxy.
Panel 5, now the background behind Eric shows two women walking in modern-day Iran without their hijabs as others point and stare.
Which oppresses new wisdom from later prophets.
Panel 2, Guinevere's face shows confidence growing behind her conquered exterior. Her hands continue to work their arcane magic.
Some of the stories I heard as a kid talked about machines longing to be human, Pinocchio and all that.
Panel 2, Guinevere and Eric both seem unable to communicate effectively.
Pig.
Oh, wait, I'm sorry. There was a line that I apparently cut where Eric goes, Pinocchio, bah. I saw I read the original Pygmalion as recorded by I don't know wherever that was from. So.
All right. Should I pick up with Guinevere then?
Yeah.
Okay. Pygmalion. Only pig I remember was Charlotte's Web. Loved that one.
I see wielding magic doesn't require years of university study.
Guinevere drops the magic as she averts her eyes and reflexively brings her hand to her face to hide her embarrassment.
I never got a ton of book learning.
Panel 4, Eric shows his remorse and concern. He sits up on his elevated table and holds her arms out to her.
No, I'm sorry. That was an insensitive thing for me to say.
Eric does a double take.
Wait, what am I saying? These emotions you are giving cause me to feel and act strangely.
Page 3, panel 6. Panel 1, Eric presses a button and the chains connecting her to the floor fall out of the wall sockets Yeah, end of the floor.
Clang. I've fully rested. Come with me, and I will show you my office.
Panel 2. Eric sits behind his desk, glaring at the computer terminal in front of him. The terminal should embrace the H.R. Giger retrofuturistic vision as presented in issue 3. The index finger of his left hand points upward and vaguely in the direction of Guinevere as he gives her direction. Guinevere, now chained to the wall behind him, stands behind him, lavishing him with more magical attention.
I want you to make me feel arrogant again. I rather like that, befitting one such as me, directing the events of your mortal world without so much as a thank you.
Cool job. How'd you get it?
Panel 3. Eric luxuriates between her hands as she continues to channel magical energies into him.
I was created for it, obviously.
It must be a heavy burden to carry all by yourself.
Panel 4. His face, framed between her magical-wielding figures, contorts in anger.
It is. The things I have to do to keep your species from killing itself on a daily basis. I've saved humanity countless times, and for what? You overgrown apes have served your purpose. We can learn nothing more from you.
Panel 5. Her fingers shift to a distant posture as Eric's mood changes to sadness.
It's a burden I bear with honor, but it is quite lonely, having to monitor world events, decide who I have to influence, coerce, or kill.
Panel 6. Both her fingers and his mood changes to anxiety. And his mood change to anxiety. Okay.
I wasn't designed for this. There are now billions of humans on this planet, and to what end? Your race lacks the cooperation necessary to make an interplanetary economy work, and your physiology is simply not suited to the rigors of space travel.
Page 4, Panel 1. With this page, I want to reference the tarot card 4 of Wands. Eric is seated at his desk, and Guinevere stands behind him, but she has used her magic to make a spectacle. Her blue magic creates the 4 pillars and a banner full of arcane symbols, which frame the duo.
Oh, come on. It ain't all that bad. Here, let me brighten up the place.
Cease to do these things. I have kept you alive simply for the purpose of granting me access to human emotions.
Well, I'm fixing to teach you what it's like to be annoyed.
I hate this.
Then I'd say you're most of the way there.
Stop this immediately.
Okay, give the magic a minute to dissipate. Now tell me, what did your company want with the Haslett girl?
I see no compelling reason to share that information with you.
You afraid of who I might tell?
Not at all. Nothing you can do is of consequence to me.
Then let's take a look at how you feel about the fate of that little girl's life.
Page 5, Panels 5. The image of Valentina Haslett projects on the desktop in a hologramic image before the duo.
Her case is interesting. She has a genetic disease of her immune system, but there is something else hidden in her genetic code of far greater importance. Somehow, her junk DNA contains various codon sequences that, if activated, would produce a new class of proteins that would help your species better tolerate the rigors of space travel.
Panel 2. Guinevere looks at him in earnest.
You seem obsessed about us getting into space.
The image of Valentina fades as Eric shifts his focus back to his terminal. Guinevere puts the pieces together.
You some kind of robot sent here by aliens, right? To keep tabs on us, to lurk among us and report back on what we can do if we're going to be a threat.
Eric turns to her.
The only thing humans will ever pose a threat to is the life on their own planet.
Panel 5, Dutch angle. The light above the elevator, which opens into Eric's office, shows the door is about to open. From across the room, the duo look to it. Ding.
You expecting someone?
Page 6, Panel 1. The elevator opens to reveal Jay Gatsby from issue 1. He wears a cloche hat, goggles, and a duster long coat over his suit and tie. A beautiful white lily flower rests in his right lapel. Confidence radiates from him as he steps from the elevator.
Who's Gatsby?
Oh, I guess I'll do that. Pardon me, good sir, but you seem to have my lady. I'll be taking her back now. Panels 4, Panel 1. Eric stands in front of Guinevere as though to shield her from the would-be rescuer. Long talons extend from his hands. He is surprised at this intruder and somewhat uncertain as to the correct course of action. Eric's desk interposes itself between the two adversaries.
I don't know who you are or how you got in here, but you've made a grave mistake.
Panel 2. Gatsby stands behind the chair in front of Eric's desk. Come now, old sport, be reasonable. This woman doesn't belong to you. Eric, in panel 3, Eric grabs her and holds a talon to her neck.
She does. She's mine. I've acted as the humanity's servant for long enough.
Panel 4, Gatsby stretches forth his hands and arcane energies crackle from them. Now see here, you have threatened my lady friend, and that just won't do. Page 8, panels 4. Bolts of energy fly from Gatsby's hand and course through Eric's body and face, causing the underlying tissue and metal skeleton to char and melt. Guinevere reflexively jerks out of the way. Boom. Panel 2. Eric staggers towards Gatsby, his face a grotesque death's head of seared and burned away flesh hanging off a glowing hot metal skeleton. His right eye is burned, blackened, and shriveled in its socket. The left is similar, but dangling by the cable in place of an optic nerve. His chest is similarly damaged.
You pathetic reality benders. I was observing humanity from back before your kind even existed.
More bolts fly from Gatsby's hand and consumes all of Eric's forms.
Ah!
Panel 4. Eric is wretched, steaming metal skeleton from which hand the savage pieces of him that used to resemble it should be.
Oh, hang?
Hang.
I think hang instead of hand. Yeah.
Yeah, hang. Yeah.
Take the girl and go.
Page 9, panels 5. Panel 1, viewed from the rear. Having opened the passenger door and Becca, why don't you take over Gatsby for him?
Sure.
Having opened the passenger door to his antique car, Gatsby beckons Guinevere to climb in, which she is in the process of doing. Her clothes cling tightly to her curves as she stretches to get in the car. The car in question is a cherry red 1920 Stutz Series H Roadster with a photo reference.
Less than a week in the city and you've already gotten mixed up with the wrong sort.
I got a robot to fall head over heels for me.
Panel 2, Gatsby pulls out into traffic as Guinevere continues.
The robot part was new. I'm sorry if I failed your initiation. What happens next?
Panel 3, Gatsby drives with his eye on the road.
No challenge has ever been truly failed until the contestant gives up.
So it's like that? Well, then I ain't giving up.
Panel 4, Gatsby smiles as he shifts gears.
That's the spirit, my dear.
Panel 5, the car drives towards the Washington Square Arch, which holds a shimmering portal towards the spirit realm.
Where are we?
Page 10, panel 1. The car enters the spirit realm. The real world can still be seen through the portal as the car pulls away. Spiritual Manhattan exists as a strange explosion of colors and images, some sacred, some profane. Viviax, the succubus from issue 3, looks down on the car from a nearby rooftop.
Going.
So those are the 10 pages.
That's the 10 pages.
Those are the 10 pages. So,
Adventures.
yeah.
All right.
Pretty cool.
And, yes, to answer your question, yes, that is Gatsby from The Great Gatsby.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Guinevere and the Divinity Factory issue 1 have a Gatsby-like wizard, but by the time issue 4 comes out, we will be into next year, and in January 2021, the figure of The Great Gatsby, the character, enters the public domain, and my comic book. So there you go.
Oh, so you're just timing that up?
Yeah.
And that actually will be entering the public domain as opposed to, say, Spider-Man or Superman, where you're expecting it to go into the public domain.
Superman and Batman. And
or Night Thrasher. Or John Carter.
John Carter, I could certainly believe John Carter going into the public domain.
It's a shame because...
Yeah, I guess so.
Well, you're not going to sell toys to boys on the Princess of Mars.
Yeah, I guess not. Although Deja Thoris, I mean, I can definitely imagine that would that should have a it has a couple built-in selling points, but
a pair of built-in selling points.
I guess same for Guinevere. She it's nice to see the continuation of the crazy stuff she was getting involved in.
She's on quite an adventure.
I like the establishment that she's proficient in the magic stuff she knows, but she's not a genius. Without her making her look like a complete idiot.
Yeah,
she's just
savant.
Yeah, she's not really smart. She's just she's capable at what she knows how to do.
Mm-hmm.
And that creates a nice counterpoint with basically a really, really old android that predates, I guess, the human race, who would know all sorts of extra stuff.
Very alien.
Yeah, as opposed to her, where she's just like a 20-ish something, you know, former thought, that kind of thing.
Why, yes, by the way, if you go look at Guinevere and the Divinity Factory issue 1, which I can pull up here. I can pull up for you, but if you look at the cover, it's somewhat close to the Leonardo DiCaprio
Great Gatsby.
Great Gatsby.
Oh yeah, that where the holding out the martini glass or something.
Yeah, holding up the martini glass and stuff. Yeah.
Here we go.
Cheyenne's asking if the White Lily was a reference to anything.
Yeah, isn't that a reference to something?
Yes, a reference to White Lily.
That's really familiar.
Yeah, he's wearing a white lily.
Yeah, I thought it sounded familiar. That's a nice little subtle touch, I guess.
Yeah,
it's in the same universe.
A little Easter egg.
They're not. I don't think these are in the same universe, though.
I think the Great Gatsby. I don't think the Great Gatsby is an actual person.
The Preston verse.
Exactly. PCU.
PCU.
Which I've been. I can show you guys some artwork or stuff that came in. Have you guys seen like one of the covers for White Lily 5 that has like it's kind of superhero-y?
I don't know. I think I saw the one, or was that for 4 with the like the bullet hole in the cockpit?
It's that's like what I saw is the sparks over the cockpit glass.
Sparks over the cockpit, yeah. But in issue 5, some of the images and some of the covers have kind of the supernatural twist on Lilia, and you have to read the comic to really understand where it goes. But there's been a lot of interest, I think, or a lot of response, and I was thinking of doing like an anthology series. Where I just like introduce as like one-offs of here's a character, and if the book sells really well, then maybe I'll pick that up and tell more about it. Just like Amazing Fantasy, did with Spider-Man.
Oh yeah. See what becomes the most popular out of like a handful.
Yeah, so I was thinking of actually running an issue of. Like a Human Torch kind of character, but it would be, Lilia the fighter pilot as kind of a personification of death and vengeance. Who knows? But, all right, so for the pages tonight, what do we think? Mac McCheese, we'll start with you.
Oh, for Guinevere. Yeah, you know what? I said this a little bit earlier, but I really like that. I think the last time I was on the show was maybe issue 2, and just seeing this, and it's going somewhere completely different. I didn't see it going in that direction. It's just like this is a really big adventure, so I really like that about it.
Yeah, there's a weird huge kind of background scale in a way of like huge implications for the entire species, the history of the human race and the fate of the planet theoretically, but then also maybe not, maybe it's just a personal story about these characters that they may leave the species alone. It could go anywhere.
It's kind of the perfect setting. I mean, it's magic technology and like mass history, psychohistory.
It could go in all sorts of directions. Yeah, issue 3, a lot does happen in that, and it's a lot. There's a lot of fantastic.
You can tell any story from this setting.
Yeah. From this point, even it could go into any direction, and that's always a good thing, because then the reader's going to be like, I don't know where this is going, because so many comics are written where it's like, oh, I know exactly where this is going, and then it goes exactly in that direction, as if as if writing comics is meant to be the bottom rung of like talent.
King Kong shows up. King Kong literally shows up, and then superheroes just punch him in the face.
Yeah, exactly.
And roll away from his eyeball.
And this is the kind of comic where it's like, it's trying to play with the reader and your expectations. And I always thought, that's what comic writers should be trying their hardest to do. Even if they're not good at it, they should be trying their hardest.
Don't you see how brilliant it is? They dislodge King Kong's eyeball, and then the whole adventure is now about his eyeball. It's like, what's going to happen with his eyeball? Oh no, it landed on somebody.
But he has his eyeball at the end of the book.
The eyeball ties into everything.
The eyeball is this. It's really the centerpiece. It's the theme.
All about Jar Jar.
It's the theme of Jar Jar. Yeah, Jar Jar is an important character because
it's the key to everything.
He's the key to everything.
If we can get the eyeball working, because the eyeball is a funnier character than anything we've ever had.
It's the theme of the story is this giant gorilla and they punch him. That's the whole theme.
The eyeball is it's a bit extreme. We might have gone too far with the eyeball in places.
We can reduce it.
Reduce the effects in editing.
Yes.
And Sashi's a bigger character now.
Sashi should actually Miss Sashi should actually be a character. She would be cool. The Sashi in Jawbreakers, though, no offense to Miss Sashi, but the Sashi in Jawbreakers, very disappointing, does not live up to the expectations of the actual real life person.
Not nearly as attractive as actual
Miss
Sashi.
That's another thing. Is like she's supposed to be a cheesecake character in Jawbreakers. I know we're not supposed to be talking about Jawbreakers, but the Sashi character is not even as attractive as the real life Miss Sashi.
We're getting completely off track here, much like a dislodged eyeball from a giant King Kong monster.
Anyways, yeah, the thing about this comic is that this chapter, it's continuing off from the crazy adventures and fantastical and solid characters. Like this Eric guy is like kind of menacing and creepy, but at the same time, it's like, is he really even a bad guy? And the stuff you were explaining previously about him is like he just has this weird history of being an outsider, sort of alien android who basically has had to live among humans the whole time.
That's basically what I was going to mention as my positive, was that he is so alien. He acts and behaves very alien, which normally you're going to do that in a story. You can't really pull that off. A lot of people can't pull that off normally.
Yeah, to make him so weird.
Human.
Yeah,
they end up throwing out a billion pop culture references. And it's like, okay.
Or cliches, or just things that are like other stories. And it's like, oh, this other story, like Data, you see, he doesn't use contractions. That's why he's an android. Really? I mean, I like Data, but,
but in this case, he seemed appropriately alien and foreign.
Yeah, especially when Guinevere points out that he's obsessed about getting into space or getting humans into space.
Yes.
That was a good
it's like a ulterior motives going on with this guy.
Pique the interest of the reader there too.
And it kind of reminds me of
Mr. Clue.
Reminds me of Mr. House from New Vegas too, where he was talking about how if we just get New Vegas under control, we could actually get off this destroyed planet.
I can get the
go to the stars in 50
I will
years.
reignite the space race.
Yeah, exactly.
I want to see. That's why I always sided with Mr. House. There's 4 different factions. I have always sided with Mr. House because it's like, oh, he's going to have rockets in space, and he's going to have
Plus, he's Rene Aubergenois. So
Rene Aubergenois. Yeah, that's always
or Odo, as I like to call him. But that's why I always liked
Odo from MASH.
And there's reminiscent stuff of with this Eric guy is that he seems to he comes off kind of as an antagonist, but it seems like he has other motives that aren't really hostile, and that's always going to be more
an antagonist, but not antagonistic.
Yeah, that's always going to be more interesting than just your mustache twirling villain who's like, I am the bad guy, Admiral Bone to Pick, something really just simple like that.
I'm a bad guy.
Yes, I'm a bad guy, and Admiral Bone to Pick, General Nefarious, some shit like that.
That's kind of what I was going for. So, right. We have any constructive notes? Mech McCheese, we'll start with you.
Constructive notes. Let's see here. I would have kept Eric alive. I like Eric.
Isn't he
not dead?
Yeah.
Is he dead? Yeah.
Okay. His skin is burned off. He's maybe a bit crippled, but I'm sure a little lightning or being zapped.
Honestly, I'll say this: I couldn't really tell that at the end of that. I was pretty sure he was dead.
Well, he seemed like really crippled.
He says, like, take the girl and go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I found him a really interesting character. So,
I was actually going for like a subvert the expectations kind of comedic beat, because like you're expecting like, oh, we're gonna have a showdown between Wizard and like Gatsby's like he's like a really powerful arcane wizard, and I'm trying to show that in this scene. So when Eric is like no, and then just like boom, big like bolts of that, and then we have like steaming android like take the girl and go. So
Yeah, the whole. You know what? Never mind. This thought ain't worth it.
Exactly.
But one of the things about when she seems to be like puppeteering his emotions.
Yes.
It's not pointed out if it's like color coded the magic she's using, but it almost seems like it would make sense. It's not mentioned in the script, but I was wondering if the magic is going to look different, either visually in color or in design. But I mean, you do mention that she's going to have different hand gestures for when she's doing it.
Colors would be a very easy shortcut, which normally that's okay to do.
Visual shorthand is always good. But yeah, because you want the audience to know that she is puppeteering his emotions too, and that's the impression I got. But I wonder if some readers will be like they can't tell exactly that she's doing that
unless you directly read it through the dialogue.
Spoon feed these stupid normies.
Well, you were saying that something in one of your comics, you were. I don't know if we should mention it, but you were choosing some visual style for literally 2. Somebody asked you about something, and it's like, yeah, if we go with this specific visual element, people who don't speak English will be able to know that it's the same character.
Oh yeah, I just got like a sort of a rough of the pencils for page 3, and she's still like the older Helen has the big circular goofy glasses that she has as a child. And in the script, I said she should wear like thin frames like Bayonetta to add to the sex appeal or something.
Sexy librarian.
But the rough has the big round glasses like the the young Helen and literally number 1.
And I was like, glasses.
Yeah, and when I looked at that, I was like, you know what, we should keep that, because anyone reading the comic, even if you don't. If you take out all the dialogue, you can still visually identify that this is her younger, and then the next panel is her older with the same glasses, because the glasses are like a big visual signifier of it being the same character. So yeah, that's visual shorthand. Sometimes doing that kind of thing.
Something to keep in mind is
to get the point across to a reader.
For somebody, especially if somebody doesn't speak English. Or even maybe if they, I don't know, skimmed the dialogue.
But to have that in mind, to have that in mind is like, if, say, somebody's Russian, if they read your comic, would they be able to tell what's going on without any of the dialogue? And usually the answer to that has to be no. Like, you got to have, your dialogue, your captions, and that kind of stuff to get the story across. But if you can do something to get the story across without any dialogue,
that might be just me. That might be just me spending so much time on hentai reading a bunch of stuff that's not
Japanese stuff that's not translated.
Translated into Korean, translated into Chinese, and it's like, okay, I can't read this, but I can see what's going on.
Yeah, I can very see what's going into what, at least. But yeah, that's so that's what I was thinking about when she's sort of puppeteering his emotions with her magic. If a reader can very clearly tell what's going on with that, which, I mean, it already looks like that's what it's kind of doing. But any other things you can add to that to make it more obvious, to make it too obvious,
a lot of that could be on the artist too.
Yeah, that's sometimes. Yeah, I mean, if you direct the artist that way, and not just the color, but like maybe the sort of pattern of the magic swirling, if they're different for each emotion too.
Maybe something like that. Yeah, I figure like red for some of the other.
For like angry, or blue for sorrow.
Pretty basic like that.
Yellow for despair, or whatever. I don't know.
Green would.
Well, then you're going to be accused of ripping off Green Lantern.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
But I mean,
yellow
Green Lantern.
Cowardice.
I don't think Green Lantern has the trademark on colors for emotions necessarily. As long as you don't have them wearing an actual ring or something.
The red means that they're going to be vomiting.
I always thought Green Lantern was stupid.
And yes, I mean...
Yeah, Green Lantern's kind of... I mean, I like the idea of Green Lantern, and then it's also kind of stupid at the same time. So
well, that's the thing, is the comics are very stupid, and then we have that animated movie, and it's like, oh, this is actually kind of works.
Emerald Knights is cool, but anyways, facial expressions would help too. Yeah,
but I mean,
a good point.
The penciler is going off the script we read, so the penciler is going to draw the facial expressions.
Okay, yeah. If the artist has that in mind and they understand, like the point of that, that's always good.
Well, yeah, you gotta let the you got to get out of the artist's way at some point, I think.
Yeah, there's that, but you can also make sure the artist knows what they're supposed to be portraying. That's usually in my script where I get too descriptive because I want the artist to know like every secret the character has, even if none of it's actually going into the comic. Sometimes I'll say like the character's feeling this, but they're not going to say it. And it's like I want the artist to at least know that, even if there's nothing for them to portray. And I think that's why some people tell me I should write novels instead, but I'm not gonna do that gay shit.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Anyways, yeah, that's pretty much it, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, sounds good. Awesome.
Another wonderful episode.
Thank you so much.
Perfect. Perfection.
Yeah. All right. Well, next week. Do we have anybody sign up for next week?
I have no idea, but again, it's worth pointing out. Anyone, if you got 10 pages of a script, just show up and we'll give you this kind of feedback.
I considered actually, because I did just today manage to wrap up like another 10 pages of my comics, my comic idea. And I came up with a new, fresh concept for a comic. I'd have to actually write down another 10 pages for that. But I could definitely be here next week with that.
Cool. All right.
I got
laid off from 2 jobs, so I can be here.
Great. Oh, you got plenty of free time then.
Great.
Yeah.
Great.
Your schedule got freed up. So.
I got 10 pages and 0 dialogue. If I could bring that.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
No problem.
Yes.
Yes. But I got other scripts that I
we read
are sitting around just in case of emergency. Like I guess tonight was kind of an emergency night.
Semi-emergency. Yeah, that was 10 pages of 30 page thing.
When is Zombie coming back?
I don't know. He disappeared, and I think he's trying to. He went into to self quarantine or something. And
I was hoping Mech Cheese might have some insights since
I've been missing him too. I don't know where.
He is not. He has not shown up at all.
Okay.
He's like gone to his private island or something.
Yeah, it's a private island that doesn't have internet. That might actually be the truth too.
I think that's what he was telling me. Yeah.
I mean,
I don't have a private island.
I don't know if it's an actual island or if it's just some place that's away from.
I don't have my own private island, but I do.
Or if it's just a complete. If he was just lying to us or what?
Yeah.
I don't know.
He said he had a smoke monster installed. I think.
Wait, I want one.
It's probably a pretty big private island to have its own smoke monster.
Yeah, and by the way, for people who are interested, who want to get in touch with me, or who got pages they want to, so there's a link down in the description of this video for the Discord server for the writer's room. Just, click in there, and everybody you see here on the screen will be there in the Discord, and we have a special place for scripts that we're posting for the next week. So
Discord's pretty easy to install. It can be a little confusing, but all it is just like a chat room that has multiple sub rooms. Depending on if you go to one server, and then you could go to several servers. All you have to do is just show up and be like, "Hey, I'm here." And if you ask in the general chat, like, "Where should I post a thing or talk about things?" People will explain it to you. It's a pretty low traffic.
The text channels are general, scripts only, self promotion, projects call for collaborators or editors. And then mentoring, opinion, and discussion. And basically, you can just chat in general.
Yeah, there's not a lot of talk in the entire.
You can drop your script in the scripts only. That's basically what I've been.
That's all. Yeah, that's all you got to do is just dump it in there, and then you can say, "Hey, here's my script for next week," and then you will probably most likely get on because we're. I
don't know. Would somebody be able to submit a script and not actually be in the stream?
Sure.
Yeah, because all we have to do is read it.
Just the disclaimer of that is if we say something like, "Oh, there's this problem," like if you have an answer to that, you wouldn't be there to be able to answer it.
Exactly.
And you would have to just run that risk if you don't want to be on. But I can understand like if people are like, "Oh, I don't want to. I feel so awkward." If you don't want to be on,
that would be kind of definitely more the true test of the writing, because when you send in your work, you're not there to justify all the decisions you've made. It's just that's how it goes.
But I mean, this is a very friendly group.
Yeah.
You're not going to find any antagonism here or needling about like, "Oh, you did this wrong." That's what I was kind of wondering if I should expect, like, "Oh, you did this, you wrote this wrong. What are you doing?"
Yeah.
There's like the whole the Monster MD thing.
Discord is not too hard to figure out.
Yes. Yeah, Discord's easy. It's really easy to install. It's just a simple
60-year-old can figure it out.
Yes. Yeah, it's just for chat, and it has voice chat.
I tried to post in there like a link that anyway, I don't know. Maybe I have to go back and post another one.
So yeah, what was the thing about the Monster MD? I actually didn't hear that show yet, but
yeah, that episode, the Monster MD guy, he was like showing up and being like, "Hey, you stupid assholes, you didn't got the balls to review my comic," and then we did, and he showed up, and it was actually pretty pleasant.
Yeah,
and he's writing Lady Alchemy.
Yeah, is he? Yeah, is he writing Lady Alchemy?
He is.
Project Sim.
If you're watching last week at Comicsgate, yes, he is now writing Lady Alchemy.
Yeah, boy. I mean, whatever.
Art, he's writing it. What is Martina doing?
Yeah, I guess she's not writing it.
Well, the question.
I mean, he's warned.
Last
I
week's
guess.
episode, the God, that sounded so horrible when she's all like, the description of. The new and improved Lady Alchemy plot is
improved.
It's her. It's a self-insert.
It's actually about
here
her.
She is. Yeah, but Martina walking along, trying to be famous. She's gorgeous, but she doesn't quite have the fame she wants yet. But then,
as long as her fishnets aren't too, the gauge on her fishnets isn't too big.
Exactly. But then people jump her in a back
hot.
alley.
Yeah,
but instead of taking her money, they take her blood. And this
because she has magic blood in real life.
Has magic blood in real life.
In real life.
And then she has.
She's not joking about that either.
Yeah. No. Yeah, she believes that shit. And then. and then this puts the character on a quest to find out why she's basically on a quest to find out why she is so special
in real life.
In real life.
Why am I so great?
Why am I so cool that people are stealing my blood?
Why is she a Mary Sue?
At some point, I always thought that you can't eclipse Sonichu, but I think this may be her greatest achievement is that she somehow outdid Chris Chan.
She won't be more famous than Chris Chan.
Well, no,
we already know that.
The sad thing is, like, I'm wondering, and here's where I got to take a poll again: is this book ever going to come out? Because it's
I hope it does
at this point.
I would actually like to see it at this. The ridiculousness of this.
I want all their comics. That's the thing is, I don't want anyone's comic to not come out. I want to see all of them because I know a lot lot are going to be train wrecks.
All right, so
if only Critias
apparently the Discord link has. I'll once again see if I tried to post one that didn't expire.
Yeah, they expired.
Oh yeah. That's one thing that's annoying about the Discord invite links is that they're automatically set to expire after a day, and you have to click the below.
I thought I had it modified, but all right, I'll
yeah.
Well, wait. I mean, Mecha no, okay. He was already in the writers group.
Yeah, I've been in there for a while. I've been lurking
for months. Right. Yeah.
So. Yeah, I will.
You're on a previous
I'll update
episode.
The link again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and I mean, getting in contact.
You can mail me at Preston P. at Rocket Jacks Comics, or leave a comment on the YouTube video. I'm easy to get in touch with, or I'm on Twitter at Comics Jacks or.
Email might as well be in the newspaper.
Exactly.
It's all about YouTube comments these days.
Exactly.
All about YouTube, but yeah, she has magic blood. She's going to shoot a blue laser beam into space.
Yeah,
yeah,
that's what she's going to do.
In the middle of a major metropolitan area.
So yes, that is the gig that Vaughn of Monster MD is now writing is creating that new.
I mean, it could be interesting too because Monster MD was at least marginally engrossing. That's my high praise for Monster MD. It's marginally engrossing, but I mean, he made that interesting. Maybe he can because if he does this tongue in cheek, I can imagine it actually being really fun to read.
I mean, even Mary Sue. Mary Sue can be done, but man, once you start from there, you got to do it real careful.
Yeah,
you can't just be like
you have to have a taste. You have to have a taste for the experimental, I think, and a lot of people who write comics don't
borderline experimental.
Yeah, borderline experimental. A lot of people who write comics are looking to tell sort of traditional stories.
Like Resident Evil Re-Evolution, Resident Evil Re-Evolution, or whatever it's called. The ultimate borderline experimental movie.
Yeah. Lady Alchemy, a beautiful woman in New York who, as a result of a crime, discovers how truly special and unique and powerful she actually is.
And everyone wants her. Everyone is in love with her.
Everyone wants her magic blood. Yeah,
they want her
to
magic
create
blood.
AIDS 2.
To Electric Boogaloo.
No, not to create it, to harvest it, because she already has
AIDS 2 Nerds in Paradise.
And I promise. All right, I'm going to pledge you. If this book comes out, I'm going to get it.
Yeah,
I want to do this.
I might actually pay money for that.
Now, what I'm not going to do is I'm not going to go give money on Indiegogo because
you're just throwing your money away.
Yeah, you're just throwing your money away. You're giving your contact info to known people who will dox and harass you.
If Ethan Van Sciver asks you for your fucking PayPal and your order number for a refund for Ribbit coin, he's basically asking for your docs.
Yeah.
I'm pro piracy. I'm anti doxing and harassment.
Right. Yes. And but if it comes out, I can certainly buy one off of eBay and then and get it much faster and typically much cheaper.
Well, it's a better deal to just wait for it to be secondhand bullshit.
Exactly.
Yeah, wait for it to come out on at Walmart.
Yeah,
I was on Weldon.
Yeah, I was on Mad Max: The Mandalorian's thing like 2 or 3 weeks ago, and this was back when Cyberfrog had just launched. And he's like, man, I'm thinking about doing this, but like $200. I'm like, all right, look, first off,
why are you even? Was that Mad Max actually presenting the idea that he would pay $200 for Cyberfrog 2?
Yeah, he was. And look, I'm not here to piss on his on his taste. Whatever he wants,
I'll do it.
But I was just saying, well, first off, do you really believe this is going to be the only campaign Ethan's going to run between now and May of next year?
Just wait for one of the 12 variants coming out.
200 is cheap compared to what the total price will be.
We got PlayStation 5 coming out this year.
Yeah, exactly. Why not buy a PlayStation 5 or a Valve Index or something?
And secondly, you could just save your money, and then when it actually comes out, if you still want it, then go on eBay and typically you can buy it cheaper.
Get it for $5.
$5, $10 maybe. $10. $10 might be a little pricey.
Even $5 is a ripoff as far as
especially because there doesn't seem to be a whole hell of a lot of actual storytelling. Ethan could benefit greatly from an appearance on our show, but I don't think I would even talk to him because I don't think he's capable of listening to any advice.
He could benefit greatly from an appearance as a cameo in the movie The Passion of the Christ.
And Ethan, and I've commented about this before, like all of Comicsgate seems to be of the opinion that the audience is dumb and will buy basically whatever you're selling.
Yeah, even Richard said that. He's like, the audience for Comicsgate is so stupid, I could release any dumb, worthless dog shit, and people would buy it.
And he did it. Yeah, he actually did that.
He was saying that about when Jawbreakers and Ironsides came out. He made a comparison saying, in the Old West, when they went buffalo hunting, you didn't even have to be a good shot. There were so many buffalo everywhere that you could just shoot anywhere and you would hit one.
Great example.
And that was his analogy for him selling comic books. He's like, you don't even have to be good at it.
It didn't have to be good books.
Yeah, and Comic Hut even made a video about that where he was pointing that out.
Yeah, post collapse, the comic book industry, which is just dead now. It's like, why would you say this?
Well, his damn pandemic book, he took it from an idea he had on the toilet to Indiegogo in less than 24 hours.
Yeah,
and he got $5,000 as soon as it launched.
Yeah, when you're selling to the pay pigs, you don't even have to come up with a good idea. You don't have to work on it.
That's the saddest part of all is the fact that he's actually right.
Yeah, he's right about that.
What am I doing wrong?
It's like they're tithing to him or something.
Yeah, it seems like it's an obedience or a loyalty test more than it's about even comics.
Because he promised that he was going to save comics, and people still believe him. I guess.
I don't know.
I think
even though he has already failed, just look at his comics.
Read them.
Yeah,
suffer.
Just look at the history that he's.
You barely even have to read them, of course.
Watch his own videos where he's screaming about how the thing, comic fans don't walk into each other, or whatever the hell he's saying. It's just the worst thing ever.
A customer doesn't walk into another customer, which he clearly had no idea what he was referring to by that.
He was scrambling.
He thought he had a point, but it's like his comics. They don't have a point. There's no thought going into it. It's just a series of random, like Iron Sights and Jawbreakers were just a series of random visuals and pages that carried no meaning.
And normally I wouldn't
no story to it.
I wouldn't even hate him, but when he said like, nobody buys digital,
when he was like,
that makes me hate him.
Like petulantly screaming like a little bitch about that. He was like, nobody, he's just whining. He sounded like he was about to start crying. In fact, he may have actually been crying. I think he shut crying. After that video. He shut off his video and went into the shower and hugged his knees and started sobbing.
Threw his iPhone across the room.
Yes.
And his roommate boyfriend had to pick it up for him.
Yes. His boyfriend's dog had almost tried to eat it.
Threw into a big pile of crying pillows and crying towels that he has.
The soaked. They're like they're moldy because he cries into them so much.
All right. So next week sounds like we're gonna have a lot of good scripts, and I got a guy in chat who wants to come in. So next week should be cool. Hey, if you're in quarantine, why not pick up a new career as a writer? It doesn't pay very well, but it never does. What can I say?
If Richard Meyer could do it, you can too.
Exactly.
Yes.
If he can do it, anything.
Look,
that was another thing about
If there is a take-home message from Comicsgate, it's that writing ain't all that hard. So just take whatever old idea you got, just jot down a few pages and bring them in.
Yeah, it's a low bar. It's a low bar.
It's a very low bar.
Yeah, and if you just try, if you put some work and listen to criticism and and do some fine tuning, you can immediately be better than everyone in Comicsgate combined.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
All right, everybody. So I will see everyone next week. This has been Preston Pulse with Pocket Jacks Comics. Thank you very much for your time, everyone. Take care.
All right.
Bye.
See you.
Bye.
Bye.